Hey everyone, it's Ellen Jody, your PLC lead for high school dance on the Godot Communities website. I am back with the last webinar of our school year. So I figured we could do a webinar that was based on all things sort of end of the year. So the first segment, we talked about an end of the year celebration. This segment will talk about budgeting ideas and different things like that. And then the third segment will be about preparing for the next year. So budgets, the ever elusive dollar, right, that we're always short of. I know each and every one of you does so much with so little, and in some cases probably with nothing. So I know that can be hard. The arts are woefully underfunded, and dance, I feel like, is always the last on the totem pole when it comes to funding. So I know we all struggle. I do hope you get some support from your district or your school. I'm very lucky to have some support. I get an allotment from my county office, and then I get an allotment from my principal, which is very nice of him at the beginning of each year. But if you add those two allotments together, I could probably buy some gaff tape, and then maybe a cheap shirt costume from Amazon for one set, so it's not a lot of money to do much with. I'm grateful for it. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful, but it's just not a lot. So most of our money in our programs probably comes from the shows that we perform, ticket sales. And of course, that ticket sales depends on how much you sell and what your audience, how many audience members you bring in. For me, with the ticket sales and the budget, my money comes in from the shows and then the money goes right back out. So it's just cyclical. We do a show in the fall, we get the money from the show. I use the fall show money to put on the spring show, and then it's just a cycle. Let me go back. For me, the county and my principal's money I have to use in that school year. And actually, the county allotment I have to use by November of that year. And then the principal's money I have to use by the end of the year. But I have a couple accounts with the school, and I'm allowed to keep money in those accounts and roll that over. So little by little, year by year, I have been able to, not buy a new set of costumes or not use as many guest choreographers, and just sort of put a little bit of money or keep a little bit of money in the accounts year by year. And then that sort of has given me a little bit of a balance, to be able to do stuff with. The money in those accounts I would use for costumes, choreographers, of course, classroom supplies, but if we need a speaker or just different things that we might need, like one year about yoga mats. So just as the needs have arisen, that's what I can use the money for. Lighting designer, as I've said before, I'm lucky enough to be able to put money away so I can work with the lighting designer, because I cannot run the light board. And then I mentioned this also before, that I have a boosters club. So I wanted to mention that again. I'm in the process of researching how to start a boosters club. I need one for my dance team. So I know we're not necessarily talking about dance team, but I have a boosters already for the dance department. I share that with chorus and theater, so that our boosters supports all three of our programs. I really wish I could use that one for dance team, but we only have one bank account. And, it's already messy enough with the three of us. And the poor parent volunteer / bookkeeper has to keep all of that straight and keep really good records, so she knows how much money goes into dance and how much money goes into chorus. So to add in another entity, dance team, would just make it incredibly messy. So this leaves me with starting a boosters, which I did not realize until I sat down with one of our coaches who has a longstanding boosters. It's basically just a 501c3 nonprofit. And so then, like for our boosters, the beginning of the year, parents can join. There's a $50 minimum, and then there's like steps up. They can, join as a base member. They can join as a, the next step up would be 75 and then 100. So, and then if you're a 501c3, that's your donations. So far, and I'm not really the expert at this yet. I haven't done a ton of research, but I did look up starting a nonprofit in Georgia. And I put together 10 steps, or there was a couple lists. So you got to pick a name. You would have to appoint a registered agent. And that's, he said, the coach that I talked to about it, he said it was one of his dads. And then you would need board members, which would be the hard part. And that takes some time because you would need parent volunteers for this, parents who would be willing to be on the board. Then you have to file the articles of incorporation to the state of Georgia, which is paperwork. And then you'll have to draft bylaws, which I think I've actually already done for, Dance Team already. So they're not really hard. Then you have to have your first meeting. Then more paperwork is filed. Then you get your EIN number. And then I think you can file. I think if you're really like what Dance Team would fall under is hardly any money at all. So I think you become exempt. Don't quote me on that. If you're not dealing with a certain amount of money. And then you have to open a bank account. And then it says something about get insurance, but I'm not sure about that one. That's something to think about, a boosters club. It might not be right for your program or your parents or whoever you're dealing with, but that's another way that you could think about budgeting. The coach that I talked to said that the cost per year for the nonprofit is $50. So that doesn't seem too horrible. And in using a boosters, money transactions are a lot easier. There's not as much red tape as there is. And so slowly in the last 2 years, I've been sort of moving my money from my school accounts into the boosters account. We are required to use an online platform now for ticket sales. It's actually the company we're using is actually a local company in Alpharetta. And so when we set that whole thing up, I set the ticket sales money to go into the Boosters Club account. So little by little, that money is in Boosters, and it's been so much easier to use. And again, make sure you know your districts or your local school policies for money and that kind of thing. I had to get permission to slowly transfer my money from my school account into my Boosters. So. Fundraising is also another option for budgeting. I'm going to be honest, completely honest. I have no desire to motivate the dancers to sell candies or pies or popcorn. I never have had. I don't know. I can't find it in my soul. I remember a few years ago, I had a meeting and I asked parents, do you want to do the fundraiser, something like that, so it can help with some of the dues, that your kids sell will come to them. And they were like, absolutely not. Like, we will do anything we can to avoid selling candy, popcorn, and stuff like that. So I was like, that suits me just fine because I am not into any of that. So I have never done something like that. However, there have been a couple really smart fundraisers that Fine Arts has done here. The orchestra, they do a paint recycling fundraiser, and then you pay by the can. And then they take it, the company takes it and gets rid of it. And it's really handy. I have emptied out like probably about 20 old cans that have been in my garage, and I helped the orchestra. So that one was really handy. So I thought that was a cool one. Don't need to sell anything. You just make a flyer and hopefully parents come. The band, and this was pretty crazy. The band does a mattress fundraiser where they partner with a particular mattress company. And then you come and show up and you buy a discounted, or you get a mattress for a discounted price, and then the band gets a take. So I'm actually in the market for a new mattress. I might think about that one for next year. So I thought that was pretty innovative. The theater department has also done a paper shredding fundraiser as well. So just some other ideas for fundraising besides, selling candies, pies, and popcorn, or candles. Don't forget candles. So I would love to hear how you do you make money? Do you fundraise? Do you have a boosters where your parents donate and join? How are your ticket sales? How does that work for you? Yeah, we'd just love to hear all about it. And let's get the conversation going about this. Hopefully we can help each other out. Next up is the third segment of the final webinar for next year. We're going to talk about, I know you don't want to, but we're going to talk about planning for next year. So anyway, I will see you next time. Thank you.